Welcome back. Opening day. Wow, there's a concept. We're going to go over tomorrow morning, and I don't know, we've been joking a little bit about slip and slide at PCMR for opening day 2017, but the bottom line is that, I don't know, it's looking tough, but we're thinking good thoughts. We're meditating on plunging temperatures and snowmaking in the next approximately 14 hours. Not so sure that that's going to come through, but we'll see what happens. Eventually, we will be sliding down the hill on frozen water. I'm excited to have a conversation with this fellow making his return appearance, but his first appearance in many years on the Mountain Views program. Good vibes in the studio. It's always nice to have a chance on a mellow night like tonight to have a chat with a new friend who brings wonderful talent to our Park City Television studios. This is Cody Robinson. How are you, brother?
Doing great. How you doing?
Happy holidays, man.
You as well.
I'm thankful that you're here.
Thank you.
And you sound fantastic.
Thank you. Thankful to be here.
Talk a little bit about your background, because we did some chatting, arranging for tonight's appearance, but other than that, we haven't met before, and I know that we surely know a lot of people in common, but talk about music, talk about your inspiration, talk about where it comes from for you.
Gosh, man, I mean, I've been fascinated and kind of obsessed by music ever since I can remember. My parents say when I was 2, I used to have this little plastic guitar, and I'd kind of, you know, bang on it a little bit. Yeah, so I've just always been enamored with it. And, you know, I took piano lessons as a kid, and piano got replaced with guitar, and then trumpet a little bit. We've got another guest coming on our show.
Yeah, buddy.
Come on, buddy.
Buddy approves.
Come on,
buddy. You can do it.
Come on, buddy. Yeah.
There he goes.
Good job.
My co-host, everybody. Buddy, comma, Mr.
So yeah, so it's just kind of always been there in my life, and yeah, I had various bands over the years. Chased the dream out to New York City for a little while, actually, and I was a.
And what did that do to you as a musician? Obviously, it's a hard grind. There's a ton of competition. Even people who aren't necessarily in the music business can kind of imagine what that is, but talk about what it was like for you as a, I'm sure in some ways, an idealistic person and an excited young musician to throw yourself in the deep end.
Sure. Yeah, it was some of the gnarliest 9 months of my life, for sure. New York was, I mean, I feel like I got a crash course in life in, like, you know, less than a year. But yeah, I was out there to do music, and I actually I was a nanny by day. I don't know if you know what that is. It's
like a nanny?
Yeah, like a male nanny.
Yes.
So yeah, so I was like, I had been pining for New York for like ever since I knew I wanted to do
There
music.
are just some people that just got to get to New York.
Yeah, I had to get to New York, and my cousin who lives there. She was a single mom and just had this new baby. She needed someone to care for him, but couldn't afford to pay New York nanny rates. So she reached out to me because she knew I wanted to live in New York. And next thing, I was on a plane to New York, and you know, male nanny or a manny.
UtahManny.net.
Yeah, and manny by day, rock star by night.
Brilliant.
So it's kind of this strange and fantastic life.
But I would think that in some ways having that, kind of knowing what you're going to do once you get there had to be a good thing, because I think of a lot of folks that I know have gone to LA, and our pal Charles Ellsworth, who we're big fans of here, still is spending a lot of time in New York, and you know, having a job that you can kind of sustain is a really challenging thing to make music.
Especially in New York, because it's one of the most expensive cities in the world, and rent is insane. I mean, I lived in like a crappy part of Brooklyn, with 4 roommates and bed bugs, and and I paid $1,000 a month for this little 8 by 10 foot, you know, cube that was my space with a little mattress in it, and yeah, it is incredibly competitive out there, and I'm glad I went. I needed to go. I needed to like check that box, you know, and I figured out that I don't need to be there, and I don't. You know, New York is not for everybody, and I think, you know, 20 years ago, if you wanted to be a professional musician, you had to be where the music business was,
right?
Which was like New York or LA,
yeah,
or like maybe Chicago. You could get away with it, or San Francisco,
yeah, maybe.
But with the internet, the playing field is totally leveled, geographically speaking as well. So you could be anywhere and have a fan base online and, you know, be a star, basically.
And even the definition of a star in terms of people being able to connect to your music that say, that's my guy. Cody, Cody has the lyrics that speak to me, that are me in some way. Sure. He's living the same experience, and I think it's great that you did that you went out and you had that experience. I think of our good friends Oscar and Julia, who are wildly talented and just killer. They did that thing. They went west and went to LA, and they, you know, when they came back, they said, great, now we know that we don't have to be in LA, and you checked it off, so you don't have to be sitting in Utah or Arizona or wherever and be like, oh man, everything would just be great if I could just get one gig at Largo, you know, and it's not really like that anymore. Yeah,
it's really not. But yeah, grateful that I went. You know, there were some things I had to figure out about what I wanted, and you know, before New York, I kind of had these aspirations of, you know, being the rock star and like the whole 9 yards, like the decadence and everything. And I got a little taste of that out in New York. I mean, I wasn't super famous or anything, obviously, or you would have, you know.
Or you wouldn't have time for Mountain View.
Yeah. But I got a little taste of it, and, you know, shook some hands with some major executives at some of these big companies, and I figured out, you know, I don't want to be a rock star. I want to write really good music. You know, I listen to like pop radio today, and it doesn't really connect for me.
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting to kind of look at that evolution over time, because pop radio 40, 50 years ago, you know, was like Stairway to Heaven.
Right.
Which is like one of the most experimental, popular songs of all time. Or like Bohemian Rhapsody, you know?
No question.
And there's no one who's doing that kind of thing today.
Who's being successful.
Who's being successful at that level.
Absolutely, and I think of, and I'm certainly no follower or expert in the realm of pop music and pop radio, whatever that means nowadays, but you know, I see stories go by in which people are, you know, really slagging Taylor Swift, and you know, and saying Taylor Swift is derivative of Taylor Swift. Like, wait, that's tough, and in a lot of ways. And I'll confess to not being a huge country music fan, but
me neither.
But I think, right?
Full disclosure,
isn't it?
I like Johnny Cash.
Sure,
I like some of that older stuff. But.
And I think that, you know, some of what is in different genres, you know, like people say, well, if the Eagles came out today, they would be country music. Or that, you know, the real country music was the sad breakup, but the Civil Wars. Right. You know, that's what country music is, and pop country is just this sort of synthetic country bubble machine that bears no resemblance to George Jones and Hank Williams and Willie Nelson and all those guys.
The whole point of that machine is to churn out hits, number one hits.
Yeah, and the number has gone down because when I was a kid, whether you were 12 or 25 or 40, you listened to the radio, and now you're 12. That's who listens to the or whatever that that mechanism is, whether it's literally FM radio or other places, but it's like the earwigs that get in, even if it's on YouTube and the video premiere of Taylor Swift or whatever it is. It's like, again, that's a whole different category of stuff than what you're doing. And of course, the you know, Cat Stevens or you know, people who are writing really reflective, as you are. You're writing from life experience. It's hard to do that when you're 16. It
is hard to do that when you're 16, although I did try. My first record, actually, my first and only album, I wrote and released when I was 16.
No kidding.
So, yeah,
and talk a little bit about the arc, because we talked about New York, but as you say, you were at this from a pretty young age, and now you've you've been through the journey a ways. Do you feel differently about music? Do you feel differently about songwriting? Is there more passion? Is it different?
It's very different. It's different and it's the same. It's difficult to kind of tease it apart. You know, when I was 16, I think I didn't really know what I wanted. I just knew that I loved making music.
Right.
And I still love making music, but I have a much clearer picture of like what that means. And you know, it's been, gosh, I'm 26 now, so it's been basically a decade since I released that album. And you know, it took a long time to figure out like how to do this thing called music, because we live in kind of this insane time where the internet's taken over all these different industries. And music was the first to go. And so, you know, it's great to like want to make a living and have a career as a musician, but like, what does that mean? And I had to answer some of those questions. And that took going to New York and figuring out if I did want a record deal, and I figured out that I don't want a record deal. Right. It actually led me to going back to school here at the University of Utah, where I just recently graduated in May.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Fine institution.
Very fine institution, yes. They were kind and generous enough to let me create my own major, actually. So I graduated with a Bachelor of University Studies in Music Business and Technology.
Wow.
It's basically, you know, it's the three different areas that I need to understand to have a career in this thing we call music.
And to be able to be the CEO of your own thing, which is both completely necessary in 2017, but also an amazing opportunity to be able to control that and not be, and I'm sure that this was part of what you must have discovered in New York, that be careful what you wish for, because you might end up in a multi-record deal and you do a record and they say, Cody, guess what? We don't like that record. We're gonna set it on the shelf and we own it, so you can't release it, and we're not gonna give you money to make a new record. And so and even you may be hamstrung in your ability to just go garage band it up and do some Elliott Smith like grist stuff, right? And it's like, I got in the music business and I found out that I can't make music. Right. Sad for a lot of people.
And I'd rather have that autonomy, you know. I think it's more demanding of a musician, you know, if they want to go it alone, because you have to wear more hats. You have to be an entrepreneur. You have to be you have to have some business savvy, you know. You have to understand how to run and operate a business, because that's essentially what you're doing.
Yeah, because you are the director of marketing.
Right. You are the director of marketing, and you are the accountant, and you are the CEO, and you're also the artist and the producer and the songwriter, and you know, you got to be proficient at social media as well. So there's all these different things kind of in the mix, and different hats that you can wear, and I've spent the last 4 years or so since I got back from New York figuring out what my mix is and kind of perfecting that.
And I would imagine that being in a hyper-competitive market like that, where it's like you don't even hardly have to look outside of the 5 boroughs to be like, if I could just get to the top of this heap.
Oh my gosh,
But it gives you an awareness that it is a microcosm of the world. How are you different? Do you position yourself, or do you think of yourself differently when you sit down to write a song? Is your writing voice different than it was before that experience?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, in 10 years, there's just some general life experience.
Hashtag life.
Yeah, hashtag life. And, you know, when I was 16, there's some naivete there that is just inherent with being a teenager. And, you know, you sing about love or you sing about heartbreak, and like you think you know, but you don't.
Sure.
How much can you really know at 16?
Absolutely.
You know? So it took a little. You know, I spent some time living in New York. I spent some time living in Nepal. I've done some traveling, and I kind of got these. I had these experiences that broadened me as a person, and so I have a lot more areas to draw from now when I write songs, and and I feel like I have a lot more to say as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how to examine your own experience.
I do.
The way that it has to be more directed toward the song.
Right. And you know, I haven't released a record in over 10 years, but that entire time, I mean, I never stopped songwriting.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's always been my bailiwick, my sandbox, my forte. Like that's, you know, I can kind of sing, I can kind of play guitar, but like, I'm a songwriter. That's what I do, and that's what I'm passionate about. And I've, you know, gosh, I don't know how many songs I've written at this point. I mean, hundreds.
Sure.
And so yeah, at this point, I'm just eager to do some recording and get some new songs out there.
And what's your plan in that regard?
So I just built a studio in my basement.
No kidding.
Yeah, I live down in Sugar House in Salt Lake, and just got this new house. Built a studio, and I'm up and running as of like last week. So I'm about to start sessions here.
The new.
The new.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was it a difficult choice to say, it's a lot of work to build a studio, and of course then you got to record yourself.
Right.
A lot of really talented people in this town, recording engineers, but
Yeah.
I suppose once you've done all of this other
See, I'm too selfish,
CEO
man.
work.
I'm too selfish. I really am. You know, there's.
Cody, we're gonna need you to do that again. That was terrible.
Well, that too as well. You know, I don't need any other critics in the room. Well, I'm my own harshest critic.
Yeah, of course,
anyway.
of course, absolutely, absolutely.
So you know, if I'm pleased with it, then frankly, I don't really give a damn what anyone else thinks. You know?
And that's the best way, again,
Yeah.
that's the best way to connect to the people who aren't just going to say, oh,
Right.
you know, this guy is nearby or he plays. But actually, this guy speaks to me. This person, this artist,
Right.
has something in their soul that is common with mine. And those are the people that will follow you to, to the ends of the earth and to the ends of your career.
Yeah. And I do want to bring other people into this project. You know, I need people to. I have a guy who's going to do my music videos for me. I'll probably need to bring someone in to do the mixing, mastering side of things.
Sure.
But as far as like the production and like doing the takes and figuring out the instrumentation, like
You
that's
got
my
it.
territory. Yeah.
Well, and like you say, you've written hundreds of songs, so that developed discerning voice. You've done that work for yourself.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, do you have a general idea of I'd like to have a record out by next May or 1st of February or anything like that?
Yeah. By summer of 2018, it'll be out.
Cool. And then, are you going to tour?
I am going to tour. I'm on the fence about how I'm going to do that, because kind of the latest trend as far as interaction between the internet and music is this thing called virtual venues. I don't know if you've heard about this.
I'm not familiar with it.
But people they're just like flipping open their laptop, and you can set up an account on like Stage It or Concert Window is another one. These are websites where you set up an account, and then you can actually broadcast a concert from the comfort of your living room.
That's cool.
So you just, you and your guitar playing on a laptop, and you can find your audience, from whoever's on the World Wide Web.
And then you can tour and build bases of support in areas where
Sure.
an artist like you can just get on a plane and go fly there, and maybe even just borrow a guitar when you get there and have an audience ready to hear those songs.
Totally.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Good for you, man. That's great.
Thanks,
your,
man.
your vibes are so good. Your songs are beautiful, and I hope that the next time that you come back will be soon. And I hope that when you do come back, you'll bring a band so we can raise the roof a little bit.
Absolutely.
And hear some electrified versions. But thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
And yeah, we'll do this again soon. Hey, let's do social media before we go.
Yeah. So if you want to listen to my music, go to CodyRobinsonMusic.com. That's my website. I've got my first record up there. You can listen to it, look at the lyrics, download it for free. You don't even have to pay for it. And I've also got my music video. I made this music video for about my time living in Nepal. That's another story. We won't get into that.
I was going to say, songwriters super hot in Kathmandu this season. So,
Yeah.
That's what I hear anyway.
Yeah, thanks, man. So yeah, you can find that on there as well, and photos and that sort of thing. As far as Facebook, it's facebook.com/Cody Robinson Music, youtube.com/Cody Robinson Music. I'm actually doing a video series right now where I'm kind of tracking my progress as I build the studio and make this record.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. 'Cause it's
Behind the
been-
scenes.
Behind the scenes,
It's great
man.
stuff. Everybody wants that.
They do. Yeah. Well, and I have a lot of people out there who like are kind of wondering what I'm up to,
Sure.
They've heard that first record that I put out 10 years ago, and there hasn't been much since in terms of recorded music, and so this is a way to bring people back into that and have them be a part of this journey with me. So,
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Super happy for you. Great to have you here.
Thanks, Terry.
Happy Tofurkey Day.
Yes.
And,
you as well.
Thank you, man. We'll see you again soon.
Sounds good,
You're
Terry.
going to come back and play a few more tunes.
Yes, I would love to.
Excellent. Good news. Cody Robinson and some of our new content from PCTV Reports right after this commercial break, because I love you.